Rasputin! Come on down, it's your time to shine. I'm going to cover a couple of things that happened in previous years real quick because Rasputin steps into the limelight this time. Howdy everyone, this is Ethelred, the worst Civ player on YouTube. Let's stare at a city screen and talk about Rasputin. Alright, so this guy was a mystic, a healer, who came into the limelight when he got an opportunity to heal the Prime Minister's daughter with his magical powers in 1906. Once the Tsar found Adam, and especially the Tsar's wife, he became really popular, especially with the Tsar's wife. 1907, Rasputin was called in to heal Tsar Nicholas's son, who was suffering from painful bleeding. That was probably hemophilia B. And Rasputin cured him with his magical powers, which today we would call aspirin. 1909, Rasputin visited the Tsar's family 6 times, and the other nobles started to resent his access to the family. 1911, the nobles started to put out a lot of bad press about this sorcerer spending so much time with the ladies. So the Tsar asked him to take a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, and he did, but he came back in 1912. One of the Romanovs, one of the kids in the family, looked like he was about to die, and everybody thought he was going to die. They were doing the last rites on him. Rasputin calls up the Tsar, says, "Hey, he ain't going to die. Don't let the doctors touch him." And the boy happened to live. So by now, Rasputin was considered a sorcerer with great power. He was also sleeping with the Tsar's wife. A noble, sick and tired of this dude hanging out in the Kremlin so much, offered him $100,000 in adjusted dollars just to leave. Just go away. We don't want to see you anymore. Rasputin refused. 1913, the nobles started an investigation into this mystic, but the Tsar's wife put an end to it. About this time, it was speculated that Rasputin had gained the ability to hypnotize people. Like, he did have freaky eyes. 1914, where we left the last episode off, Russia goes to war. Tsar Nicholas leads his army off to Austria-Hungary to fight. He leaves Rasputin in charge. So, about this time, Rasputin goes for a walk. Some beggar comes up to him, stabs him in the guts. It's an assassination attempt. Rasputin runs off, holds his guts in with his hands, gets stitched back together. He survives. After that assassination attempt, he has everybody who's against him kind of purged. They all either get exiled or thrown in prison. And now Rasputin has power, because the Tsar is hundreds of miles away, and Rasputin's running things. 1916, Rasputin now fully in charge of Moscow. He's sending telegrams to the Tsar saying, okay, here's how you need to do this. You need to attack here, you need to attack over there. And the Tsar's like, okay, Captain. And all of the Russian government hated Rasputin. This guy was... Who the hell is he? Where did he come from? What the heck? Doesn't anybody see through this sham? And every time they try to do anything against him, the Tsar's wife is like, nuh-uh, he's my best friend. So, the nobles invite Rasputin over for tea and crumpets. And a group, this is actually in 1916. Let's click next turn. We'll just leave it right there. The nobles have called Rasputin for tea and crumpets, and they are sick to death of this dude, apparently now running Russia. And in-game, we got one turn till some kind of Congress where, as I recall, I officially don't care if Islam becomes the world religion, but I do kind of care about repealing scholars in residence. There was something else I thought today which was kind of important that I should do as soon as I got in-game, but whatever, I've eaten since then. I don't remember. New unit from Valletta? Fabulous. What did we get? What did we get? Probably something sucky. Come on, what did we get? Show me. Where is it? This is taking too long. Trade route plundered. The heck? Alright, that sucks. Let's, I wonder where that was coming from. That was probably coming from Moscow. But we've got Yeah, let's just start one in Moscow. We still have... Yeah, that had to be in Moscow. So we'll just buy a trade route in Moscow caravan. Boom. Alright, so that's that. Incense from Arabia ended, and we stopped paying for it. So let's call up the Arabians. Where are you? What, you don't want to deal with us anymore, man? What about some silk?
ما هذا؟
What?
كلا.
Alright, fine. I don't need that anyway. I got 23 happiness. A new unit from Volga. Yeah. Okay, SAM site. Well, I guess that counts for something. And we will assign our delegates to repeal scholars and residents. We have quite a few delegates. Commit. Boy, there was something really clever I thought I was going to do, and it's plumb gone. The Great Barb War of 1915 is raging. What a mess. Boy, it seemed like it was something I had to set, something I had to click, something I had to do, something that was strategic. It was important. It was, I'm not going to say it was vital, but it was kind of a big deal. All right, is it 1916 now? So the nobles invite Rasputin out for tea and crumpets in a specially built room. They built this room. It was soundproofed. It was like, you know, tile floors to mop up the blood. I mean, they went all out to kill this guy. And they get him plastered drunk, and then they feed him a huge amount of cyanide. And he eats all these cyanide poison crumpets. And to their horror, he doesn't die. He just gets drunk, and he's having a good time. He's laughing. He's getting a kick out of things, but he's definitely not dying. And this isn't how this was supposed to go. So, can we call, let's call you over here and have you sit like on this mountain. I am about sick and tired of frickin' barbs showing up everywhere. So we're gonna try to put an end to some of this business. Reduce the number of barb camps out here. Scholars and residents is repealed. World religion fails. Guess I didn't care. Bratislava is under attack. You can take a short walk off a high cliff. And Pedro has completed the Apollo program. Alright, well, all that is very well to do, I suppose. I officially don't care. Anyway, so he doesn't die from the cyanide, and he's just having a jolly good time, getting drunk. So they resort to plan B, and they shoot him. And it's a grazing wound across the abdomen, or something. It goes into the abdomen, it misses the liver, something like that. Anyway, he clutches his belly and falls over and dies. And these nobles who are running this are like, woohoo, we got him! And then they go off into it, they like adjourn into another room to party, and Rasputin wakes up, realizes that he is in the process of being assassinated, and makes a run for the door. The nobles are like, what the heck? Why won't you die? We poisoned you with cyanide, we shot you, you fell down, maybe you are a mystic. So they shoot him 4 more times, 3 shots miss, the last one hits him in the spine, and he falls to the ground in the snow outside this house. So the nobles go out there and they're like, alright, we've had definitely enough of this. You are not coming back to life anymore. So they shoot him in the head. And that kills Rasputin. But they're not done with him. So they go throw him in the river because, I mean, that's what you do with somebody you just assassinated, right? It's the Roman tradition. You got a Caesar, you're tired of him, you kill him and you throw him in the river. So that's what they do. But they forget to weigh him down, so his body floats. It floats up against an iceberg because it's Russia, and the body freezes. The cops later retrieve the body, and he gets buried, much to the sadness and loss of a grieving Czar's wife, who won't ever have fun with him again. Let's see... And what can we build now? Oh, great. Moscow is done with its research lab. And I see that we are not working we're not working a couple of buildings here in Moscow. Let's take a look at this. I'm principally interested in turning off food production. So we can turn off this one here. And we can get the research lab. That's nice. We're up to 1592. And is there some other really juicy tile that is almost all food that I can turn off? I'm not gonna lose any science. And I don't want to lose hammers, but if I do, then what do I get out of the stock exchange? I get 5 science. Lose 2 hammers for 5 science. Yeah, right at this particular moment, I think that's okay. Actually, yeah. So let's unlock this tile. We'll lose 2 hammers. We're now stagnating. We'll never grow again. With it on, it's 20 turns. Alright, well, fine. We'll just leave it that way. Oh, yeah! I gotta choose something to build. We are getting ready for space station parts. Is there anything that can help us with production here? I don't think so. Let's do a garden. It's just 1 turn. Okay. Set these guys to kill barbs and stuff. And you'll skip your turn. Okay, it's 1917. So the Tsar is still off at war. He's phoning in his instructions to Moscow. Moscow is going to hell in a handbasket. There's nobody running it now. The Tsar's not there. Rasputin's dead. The Tsar's wife is like boo-hoo-hoo. The nobles are all fighting amongst themselves. The workers are getting beat by the cops in the street and they hate their lives. So 1917, a general strike starts throughout Russia. Apparently just spontaneously. Everyone was sick and tired of all this crap, and the Tsar was told he was advocated. He gets the phone call, hey, you're not Tsar anymore. There's riots in the street. The government offices all get pulled down. Rioters it was kind of a Ukrainian moment. A spontaneous revolution where the people turn out in the streets. They go into the government offices. They throw everybody out. They raid the government offices. And voila, no more government. So the Tsar gets a phone call. There's no government anymore. There's no Russian Empire. You're not the Tsar of anything anymore. And the Russian army, at this point, just starts kind of doing nothing. Because after all, what's it going to do? It just lost its government. So they just become combat ineffective. Let's see, what else can we do here that's quick? I think that, something that can help me with, oh, well, I don't know. Let's just do science for a few turns. Castle. We're never going to get attacked here. Let's just do a few turns of science. What are we waiting on anyway? I know what we could do here. We could build the space station cockpit. I'm an idiot. I should be building space station parts. Gee, many Christmas. What's wrong with me? Golly, silliness. This is out of control. Alright, well, I only lost 1 turn. I'm going to focus more hammers on the Moscow because 20 turns is not enough. And in fact, where are my workers? Let's get this space station part built faster. You guys building railroads over here, I appreciate it, but stop. Come back over here and start clearing forests. Like all of these forests. Come back. We're in the game now. It's coming to an end right there, and there's one last tile that will clear. You can come over here. And this guy, I will, what is it? Stop automation. Okay. So it will finish that sugar cane thing. So that's that. And the next time a trade route comes up, I'll send hammers there. Oh, well, super. We've got a museum in Samaria. Ain't that a dandy? Let's us... Nothing here can give us science. Nothing here can give us happiness. I think we'll just do a castle. I think we'll do a castle. Oh, look! I didn't know hospitals were plus happiness. I had no idea. I suppose that offsets the first baby that's born. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Oh, super! A caravan! We're going to send that to Samaria, the only place that's not sending hammers to Moscow. And what were you doing previously? Were you sending hammers? I think you were. Yep. Keep doing it. Oh. And we're just going to leave these guys to sleep out here in the middle of nowhere. What year is it? 1918? Okay, so the army is combat ineffective. And Lenin, he senses now is his moment. And he rushes to Moscow in 1917. And by the end of the year, he staged a second revolution where the previous center-left provisional temporary government was thrown out, and his party, his Bolsheviks, gained power. And he renames his Bolshevik party the Soviet Party, and they form a government called the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic. So in 1917, we saw the end of the Czars, the Bolsheviks came to power, and Lenin used them to establish the Soviet Party and the SFSR. We have the Hubble Space Telescope. That's super. Let's send hammers to Moscow. Why can't we send hammers to Moscow? There it is. Alright. I don't feel like this is the moment for us to pop the scientists. So we will sleep those guys. Alright, I don't think we need our general out there anymore, so we'll just kind of park this tank right there. And wow, we still have a Lancer. That's adorable. We're going to send him out here into the darkness to keep a watch on things. Last dude to cut trees. Alright, I can't keep up with what's going on. Some former military units from the Russian Empire begin to fight the SFSR in a civil war. Lenin, for his part, he withdraws Russia from world... So, excuse me, I'm just going to start over again here. Lenin, in charge of Russia, withdraws from World War I. World War I's still going. The Russians are out of it. Okay? And he names a fellow revolutionary, Leon Trotsky, as his foreign minister. Trotsky would go on to become the chief of the army, which he has to go build. Speaking of armies, as I started to mention a moment ago, some former military units from the Russian Empire start a civil war against the SFSR. They call themselves the White Army. Now in 1918, a severe famine hits Russia, which Lenin blamed on everyone associated with power during the Czars. He thus instituted the Red Terror, which was a mass purge of everyone who had been previously associated with power. It's not known how many people died. Something like somewhere between 10 and 140,000. Trotsky built the Red Army, and he led it in combat against the White Army. In 1919, in order to complete the Red Terror's purge of previous government officials, Lenin had the gulags built. The first gulags were built. Lenin also established a Politburo in order to run the party. 1920, the famine has worsened, and people are now muttering that the Soviet Party is too centralized and bureaucratic. For its part, the Soviet Party begins to have its first party meetings, and because Lenin feels like the dawn of international communism is upon us. Oh, I did not know that clicking on a worker shows yields. I did not know that. So the first conferences of international communism are held in Moscow. Let's see. Oh, and Lenin also begins universal labor conscription, meaning that everyone 15 to 50 is forced to work. 1921. I can click next turn. The famine's now the worst that Russia has suffered in 150 years. 5 million people have died by now of famine. The American Red Cross is doing a relief operation, and Lenin becomes ill with a mystery illness that modern medicine has diagnosed as syphilis. Alright, so let's get this guy up here to cut some trees. And Montezuma is a threat to this world. I've got no interest in that. Speaking of Monty, I'm glad you reminded me. Let's go see if we can become friends with Monty. I see we have 11 turns until the World Congress tries to elect a world leader. That will elect no one. Oh, wow. I'm talking a lot. Actually, we're almost done with tonight's episode because I'm going to quit when Stalin forms the USSR. Remember, this is not the USSR. It is the Soviet Union. No, it's not the Soviet Union, excuse me. It's the Soviet Party. They have the Politburo. They are communist. They're having their international communist conferences. It is the Soviets, but it's not the USSR yet. It's not the Soviet Union yet. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah, Monty. Dude. Come on, man. Let's... I don't want a defensive pact with you because, frankly, I've seen your tech stats. You're 55 versus Brazil 68. You would get your ass beat. But let's be friends. I hate you. Who are you friends with? Anyone? You're friends with Hong Kong. Great. Good job, buddy. Whatever. Production. We're going to build a rocket booster. Where is it? Come on. Oh, I don't have it yet. That's 3 turns. So I've got 3 turns until I can build a rocket booster. In that time, what can I do? I can do a... I don't know. Caravansary? Harbor? A harbor? No. A lighthouse. I guess I could do a lighthouse. I don't need more food. But I get +1 protection from sea resources. That's no good. That would just be 1 production. That's hardly better than the fields that I've got. Let's just do science for a turn. I don't think that there's anything better to do here. Garden? You're done with the garden? Well, good for you, Andronovo. I think that I'm going to have you do something like a, probably a arsenal. Because at least I don't pay maintenance on arsenals. I don't think that there's anything else I want you to do. Besides the arsenal, you could do research. Alright, so we are now in the process of clearing trees for this spaceship part. Yeah, actually, that's a darn good idea. If I'm done with places, I can just have them do science. Samaria, you will be done after this castle. Really, you don't even need to build a castle, but might as well let you finish. This place, it can build a castle, and it can build a stock exchange too, actually. Yeah, it can build that before the castle. And then last but not least, it can do research. So I think that'll get everybody onto research. Let's make sure all our research labs are getting worked. I would hate to have one that's not getting worked. Market, stock exchange. Can we fit somebody onto the market here? Ooh. That's actually a lot of science. That's like 10 science. At the cost of production, but I really don't even care about production in that city anymore. Andronovo. Can't do anything else. Okay, we're good with our city maintenance. And it's 1921. Yeah, syphilis. So we've done 1921. 1922, Lenin is now less and less able to function. Oftentimes he's considering suicide. Stalin and Trotsky are running things. They reform it into the Soviet Union. So now, 1922, the Soviet Union is formed. And at its head, they put Lenin, even though he's not really functional anymore. Everybody can see the writing on the wall. Lenin is about to die. Oh, it's not 1922 yet? Because this worker's still waiting for something. I remember what it was now that I was supposed to do in this episode. I was supposed to use my next social policy to get, what is it? Something that allows me to use less food. Zhejiang has become a nuisance. I have no interest. Something that allows me to use, oh yeah, that specialists use less heaviness. Sabella is a threat. I have no interest in that. Goodbye. And what is it? I do want the new... Sure, dude. Thanks. Specialists produce half the normal amount of unhappiness. It's universal suffrage. Got it. Okay, when the time comes, I will evaluate whether or not I'm in a happiness conundrum. If I am, I can go universal suffrage. Elsewise, I'll go New Deal. But it looks like it's going to be 15 pounds. Alright. Cut him down. I feel like Saruman? Saruman, right? Yeah. Cut them all down. And I'm no longer friends with Kizzle. Kizzle, my dizzle. Where are you, Kizzle? So I could become friends with you, and I could get... Let's do that. That way, I get the happiness from it. And are there any other mercantile ones? No. So I'll just let it sit at that point. I'm not going to spend a lot of money on city-states right now. Are you done? Oh, I see. There's like a camp there. So you'll come up there to chop trees. What else? 1922 has ended. Next. And we're in the last turn for this game. As much as I want to keep playing, I always want to keep playing. I'm bordered by how much I have researched for history and how much time I have in my life, and I'm out of time. But I do have 1923 researched. Lenin writes his last will and testament. In it, and this is, I don't get this, I don't know how governments work like this, but Lenin, he wills his government to Trotsky. No, I'm not going to do open borders with you. You're autocracy. Anyway, so he wills his government to Trotsky. And he even goes so far as to say Stalin not only should not be the leader of the Soviet Union, Stalin needs to be exiled from the party because his temperament is just not right for leadership. Wu Zetian is plotting against Ramses. Well, Ramses is one of the civilizations I don't want to die. So I will do that. Open borders from Montezuma ended. I think that's just fine. I don't need their nasty autocratic influence. And I am almost no longer friends with Antwerp. We will go ahead and throw a little gold at them. Alright, what else in this turn? Chop some trees. Chop some trees. I think that that part will come along no problem. Alright, so Lenin, having written his last will and testament, suffers a series of strokes and dies. At this point, the top 7 commies, including Trotsky and Stalin, they keep the last will and testament secret. They break into 2 factions. There's a Trotsky faction and a Stalin faction. And the Stalin faction succeeds in getting the 7 of them to agree to keep the last will and testament secret. They then begin a ferocious amount of maneuvering amongst one another, which basically goes on behind closed doors, but they're also pulling all of the, pulling in all the favors and backroom dealings that they can muster with one another. Finally, nice, advanced ballistics. Finally, the Stalin group, the Stalin faction wins, and Trotsky is exiled. Stalin becomes the chairman of the USSR. So we are going to set Poltavka to build a spaceship booster, and Moscow is going to go right onto a booster when it's done with that cockpit. Our next research is going to be the spaceship factory and nanotechnology. I think so. And then we will come up across the top to do the last one. Okay, furs to Sejong ended. So we were selling furs to Sejong. Interesting. Barbarian encampment discovered. We're not going to have anything to do with that. The Aztecs have denounced somebody. And blah. Alright, so let's just see if there's any trading we need to do. I don't think that we have dyes. So let's get dyes for... I'll offer you 7 just because I don't want to argue. What'll make the deal work? Iron, horses,
Deveremos
coal.
prosperar através do comércio?
No. I'll offer you 10. No, you know what? Screw you. I'll get dyes from China. Hey, honey, what's up? Send me some dyes. Do it for silk. Wow. I'm definitely not doing that stuff. How about, you're not going to get any of my aluminum. I need that for spaceship parts. Great. We made a deal work. Anybody else? Incense? I could use some incense, right? Yeah. Alright, so I'll offer you 7 gold. You'll reject it. I'll find out what you want. You'll say everything. I'll say screw you. And I'll go talk to Egypt.
إنه أنت.
Who also wants everything. Wow, you people. Here's something else. Nobody else has anything to trade. I wish I could keep playing, but no. Thank you for listening. Please click like and subscribe and tune in tomorrow for Stalin.